Hello, my name is Asher. This is Cadet Hoskins,
Howdy.
and he just played the game, and he resulted with actually $701 left over. So, how accurate would you say the game is at representing the experience of the working poor? So, just like in your own experience, whatever, just whatever.
I think the game was very helpful and informational in terms of how a working class, a work-based poor class would have been, in terms of like how a day-to-day would go, whether as paying bills or if they have a kid, taking a kid to school, having to pay for school lunch, also paying day-to-day's gas, groceries, clothes. I felt like it was very informational to people, and especially in the college, who are, potentially going through times like that, or are going to be going through times like that post graduation. I think it's very informational in terms of how a day to day will be.
Do you think that experience can be brought across like anyone? Say if you were black and you were doing that, if you were pregnant, like middle age, like white class girl that just got divorced. Do you think like this situation stretches across all genders, all races? Do you think that's like it's equal?
I think between all ethnic groups, that stretches across the board. So for everybody, depending on just what your background is, and how kind of how you came to that experience, whether it was something out of your control or something in your control. I think it stretches across the board between all people.
Okay, so you don't think if you were white you would have like a easier way of getting out?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it goes across for all people equally.
Okay, all right. Next question: is there anything about the game experience that surprised you? Anything at all?
I was kind of surprised at the fact that they really went in depth about things that you needed. How many grocery items you're paying for. Paying a certain amount of rent. Having to pay fees for living, and maybe if you have an animal, you're not allowed to keep an animal in your place, so you have to pay a fee for that. I think it was very in depth and had a lot of information that kind of pushed into that everyday lifestyle.
Okay. Yep. So, is there anything you think was missing or that you disagreed with while playing?
Not in particular. I did feel the game was probably could have gone a little bit in more depth, but for it being as quick as a game that it was, to kind of just get a feel for how that life would be, I felt the game was very well put together to show how that day to day would be.
If you think something is unrealistic, why do you think the game was designed that way? Or why do you think the game did not include certain options?
I think the game was really just to show a brief overview of what that life would be like, and to not really go super in depth about it, but just to give a quick explanation about how that day to day would go. So I think the producers of the game really just wanted to show how that would look, instead of really going into in depth about it and not taking up a person's time.
Do you think that they didn't include certain options just to make it more broad to encompass more people, instead of just like keeping it really certain, and then like you could like focus on maybe like onto one group? So like they like kept it like very broad, so you could apply this to any race, to any person.
Yes, I do think they kept it broad in terms of whether you do have a kid and you're a single parent, or previous you are single and you have no obligations to any kids. I do feel that the game was able to show all different backgrounds.
What was I gonna say? Do you feel like it was important that they didn't give you a background of that person? That they didn't say that they were a single mom in their 30s who just got divorced? Do you think it was important that they didn't give you a brief explanation of who that person was, and they just kind of threw you into the dirt, into a month of their life? Do you think that is like important to like the meaning of the game?
I think that the way some people may view it is that could either be very important or not very important. Very important it being maybe somebody really wants to learn how that day to day would look, because maybe they know that they're going into that situation after filing divorce papers. So maybe that person wants to really know how that day to day will look. So I think in terms of that, it would be important. But I also think that it won't be important because maybe somebody's just curious and wants to learn more about how a person really lives because they don't understand.
So in one of our assignments earlier on, we learned that, like, the idea of luck and how a lot of people believe in luck. Do you think that luck plays a key role in your life? Say, if you were born into a richer, upper middle class family, do you think that you are more lucky and you are able to succeed easier than anyone who was born at the lower class, say, to a family struggling, things like that?
I think it's all about how you are raised as a person. So depending on your parents, some people's parents are, especially let's use a higher class for example. If you're in a higher class family and your parents are always giving instead of pushing, I think that can build a lot of luck in somebody's. You can fail, but you still have that backup. Because your parents are very wealthy. But in some cases, you do have that family who maybe was at the bottom before, and now they're at the top, and they're really pushing. You need to work to earn this. So I think it's very important to show that it's not all about luck, and it's just, I think, how you are raised as a person.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you.